Thank you all for coming. Welcome, welcome. This is our kickoff event. We are MUSE. My name is Alex Lockamore, and this is our first gathering of what I hope will be many more in the future. And I'm excited to see how our community will grow over time as we start to have more events and as our initiatives start to take root. And despite the challenges brought on by the pandemic onto our theater industry, I'm actually grateful that issues of racial equity have come to the surface in a way that I personally have not seen before. The theater industry needs to take a hard look at itself and how it's populated. And this current shutdown is the perfect time to examine how we have assembled our respective departments and how we have treated our colleagues of color.
Thank you for coming. This is so exciting, being able to be a part of a shift in consciousness, of a building of a community that will seriously benefit many musicians of color. One of the ways that I feel MUSE is going to be extremely beneficial is in the area of mentorship. The beauty of having a collective of such talented individuals, especially and giving individuals who want to share, is that you can learn real-time, real world instances about the industry that you would like to get into.
A music assistant, that in the way that we're defining it is a person that supports the music department. When I looked back at like the last 20 years of the people that have supported me in that position on shows that I developed and worked on, many of them, not all of them, but many of them ended up being one of the first people to sub on the keyboard books of that show, one of the first people to conduct that show. And there are literally people on this call that have been in that position on shows that I've done that are now Broadway music directors, orchestrators, and arrangers. If we can provide any kind of access point like that, we are more likely to see people behind the table not being all white.
We are hoping in our outreach to reach schools and communities so that young musicians and students of color can have the opportunity to learn more about the arts, to learn more about what career paths they might not know about, what career paths they might want and have no idea exist in the world. We are hopefully going to be partnering with programs like the Harlem School of the Arts and the Apollo's education program. Camilla Forbes, she's got an amazing program already set up. I think she said there was 50 or 60 schools that they're in, talking to young students of color about what their opportunities are, about a way to express themselves and express their art, and to more importantly, become proficient and experts at their art, because that's what we want, right? That's what we want, is to have people who are solid and professional and excited to share the art and to share the message that we are all doing as musicians with one another. How do we connect with the educators on the ground now? What do you need us to do to reinforce the idea of bringing musical theater, bringing theater opportunities, just bringing different types of instrumental playing and learning into our schools?
Why the database, or what's the main purpose? And I think the main purpose is because no one should ever be able to say, I didn't know where the Black or brown or people of color musicians were, period. That can never be an excuse anymore. And so, as the other people have already spoken, if in our database, someone signs up, but they're not really ready to be in a Broadway pit or in the putting together of a show, we're willing to try to point them in the right direction, mentor them, educate them, whatever that needs to be. But the long and the short of it, and the bottom line still needs to be, you can't say, I don't know where these people are, because there's 101 of us. And we're, there's a lot more to share, a lot more to see, a lot more to know. There's no Black person or white person or any one person going to do any of this by themselves. It's a we thing, and we need to all address this and deal with it.
As theater musicians, our need for an extensive variety of skills has really continued to multiply through the years, especially as we rely more and more on high-level technology. And there are no manuals that exist for preparing for these jobs. So we are really looking forward to creating programming that will provide high-level instruction on a huge span of topics that you could encounter when you're in a job situation. And I believe that part of our responsibility in investing in new voices is to make sure that we're all being set up for success and that the access to the information is an important starting point in that process. So moving forward, I think you're going to see MUSE offering a lot of skill building workshops and opportunities to do roundtable conversations on specific topics. And we will be amplifying the work that other groups are doing in this vein to provide these kinds of resources for people. And we hope you'll join us.
People need to start being looked at, especially people of color. And I've been, attributed to this myself. I've had this happen to me, where it's a surprise almost if you can orchestrate. I orchestrated a show called Amazing Grace. And I remember at one point during the first paid preview, I was sitting in the audience taking notes, and I had a little dialogue with a woman who was there, and the topic of the show came up, and I said, "Oh, I'm taking notes. I'm the orchestrator," and the look of surprise on her face was like, "Really?" And I think that right there says it in a sense, where the consciousness shifters has to be, this is a talented musician. And I think one of the ways we can do that is through us populating the database and allowing those resources to be had so people know people are there and they have access, creating those pipelines so that there are people of color in those positions. So it's not such an uncommon thing to see and you're not surprised.
The way this industry works is that you build a professional reputation, you work with people that end up loving working with you, and then they offer you more work or recommend you to someone else. And we can actually help to get those people in the room to build those relationships. It is about building the creative relationships that are going to then, let someone be like, oh my God, I had no idea that this person is that amazing. And now I want to work with them on the next thing.
If we can help other people get past the barrier of, oh, well, I'm a girl, they're never going to hire me. Oh, well, I'm a Black or I'm a brown artist, they're never going to hire me anyway. If we can get past that and get more into, yeah, no, I'm good at that. And we say, yeah, you are. Go do that. I think it will make it beneficial for both those individual musicians, but the industry as a whole. Everybody will benefit from having more people who feel solid and confident about their skills and moving forward without the barriers and the ceilings and the walls of, oh, well, you should fit into this type of thing. Hell no, I'm just doing the thing and I'm doing it just with that guy doing it and we're all doing it together. You know what I mean? So that's sort of my feelings on all of it.
You might think you don't have something to share. We do. We do. And so I'm hoping that in this database, people will be able to leave a question. Hey, I got this project. How do I do this? Can you give me some tips on that? Can you point me in the direction? No, I don't know jack about doing vocal arrangements. Call Michael McElroy or something. But we have a responsibility to pass on.
The amazing thing about this shutdown period of time is that we've all moved online. And so access is it's a different thing now. We have access in ways that it's kind of strange to look at everybody in a box, but we have access. We have the ability to have these conversations, and I think this is what we're moving towards is finding ways to connect and create those partnerships.
So the fellowship is more for a person who has already been offered a job and may need supplemental income to be able to take the job. So we want to be able to encourage people who are like, oh, this is my big break, but I can't take off from X job to do it. And we want to be able to say, hey, how do we help you be able to do this to get you in the pipeline that you want to get into? So that's what the fellowship is for. If you're in college, that's okay. That's totally cool. Let us know where you're at and we will try to find a way. If it looks like it's going to be a good match, we'll try to find a way for someone to have a way. Maybe it's a conversation once a month. Maybe it's a meetup at some point or another, but don't limit yourself yet to what you can't do, as opposed to giving us an opportunity to be able to make it something that you can do with us. If you're a music director or if you have any conversation with the people who are doing the hiring, ask them, did you check the MUSE directory? Did you check and see? You know what I mean? Have you even thought about it first? And if you haven't, take a second to think about it before you hire that same guy that you've always hired before who will be there. If you don't hire him this time, he's gonna be there the next time. You can definitely expand it so that you have a couple of cats that you can work with. And maybe you have a couple of cats who bring musicians to the table that you didn't even know were in your community. So just asking the question question of, did you check the Muse directory? We're just gonna have to make a shirt about it. Did you check the Muse directory? And making sure that we encourage the people doing the hiring, encourage the people behind the table. Did you check? And if not for this show, the next. That's another way to help. And that's another way to continue the encouragement of this idea of just expanding our options.
Yeah, please let everybody in that you know about Muse. Encourage people to get their friends to join. Encourage people to donate, and donate if you can as well. I will close out with this great question that was asked by Pili Fronda, who said, in a sentence, what do you hope Muse brings to the world of music, Broadway, and our world in general? And I was thinking about that. I don't know that I have a sentence, but what I hope that it brings is change. I hope that it brings inclusion. I hope that it brings equity, and I hope that it brings us a new mindset. And that's what I hope for our organization. So thank you all for supporting our cause, for being here, and we will see you around. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, everybody. Cheers.